Good morning. It's crooked. That's what it is. That would be better. Well, maybe it'll sort itself out. Um, it's what is it? It's July. It's July the 23rd. That's what it is. And I'm back from Winnipeg, where I was at the North American Science Fiction Convention, NASFIC, which is why there was no walking the last few days. I didn't particularly want to walk in downtown Winnipeg. And I thought about walking around the convention, but it was pretty lame. There would have been nothing worth walking around with showing, so I just let it go. And now I'm back for the start of a hot week. It's currently 22, but it's supposed to go to 32 today, so it's going to be quite warm. Fortunately, one thing that happened before we went was we got the air conditioning fixed finally, the new furnace put in, so at least the house is comfortable. What did I do at the convention? Well, I had a reading that nobody came to, so that was fun. Did sign a few things in my autograph sessions. Sold quite a few books on the, there was a table run by the Imaginative Fiction Writers Association out of Calgary, aka the IFWITs. And I have a kind of a connection to them. Since we've gone to Calgary many times and know them all very well. And yeah, I sold, I don't know, probably $200 worth of books, which was kind of cool. I actually would have been better off if I'd done a full book table of my own, probably. Would have met more people and made more impact on being known. You know, making people know I existed in the two panels I went on, which were sparsely attended. One was on relationships with editors, which I thought might have a larger audience, but it didn't. And I was on one about poetry, of all things. Admittedly, I have written a book of science fiction fantasy poetry, but I'm certainly not a giant in the field. But anyway, that was also sparsely attended. So. And they were stuck in the past when it came to, they wanted everybody masked every time they were in convention spaces, and you had to show proof of vaccination. And that is so, especially the proof of vaccination. It's one thing we know. Ooh, it's a bird chasing a squirrel. There's the squirrel. And this robin was chasing him across the street. One thing we know is that vaccination does nothing to prevent transmission, so requiring people to be vaccinated to attend is just nuts and anti-scientific, which I would, you know, one would hope for better from science fiction fans, but no. And I hadn't even read that before I went, because I couldn't believe anybody would still be requiring that. Fortunately, I could still call it up on my phone, but so all that kind of stuff kind of bugged me. And anyway, we went, met a lot of people, had some good dinners. We're back. I do go up to Saskatchewan on Friday to take my car in and tune, maybe over the bridges like I did once before, down River Landing area. Surprising amount this week, last few weeks. It's going to 32, so this is the time to walk for sure. Creek's over there, but the bushes have now grown up enough that you can't really see it from here. When do you think we'll see our first dog? Soon, I'll bet. And when I get back, you know, publishing, editing, all that stuff. I got an extension on the deadline for the book I have to write, which is good because then I can get some other things out of the way and then focus on it. I think it'll work out well now. Publishing tasks have slacked off slightly because I've got all my metadata. Metadata is the stuff about the book, you know, page length, size, back cover copy, reviews, all that stuff. If you go to Amazon and all the description of the book and details about it are all metadata. And with my publishing company now being part of something called Lit Distco, which is a distribution network, I had to give them all my metadata, which required a lot of work. And then there's a sales force which also required metadata. And maybe one other place I still needs it, but I think now I can copy it from one to the other. So then I've got to get all the files for all the books over to the new printer, which is my primary printer will be a company called Rapido out of Quebec. Short run, but not quite the same as the logical choice for my style of publishing. Unstable connection again. Briefly. We are at peak lushness here when it comes to leaves. Here at the end of July, midsummer. It won't frost for about 6 weeks. We'll probably have our first frost. Maybe 2 months if we're lucky. As we always do. And the traditional look at the creek in 2 directions. Excuse me, bird. There we are looking to the east. And we'll come over here and look to the west. Hello, Annis. Good morning. Looking west, there's a bird really unhappy with me. I wonder if it's got a nest around here somewhere. Chirping its little head off at me. I apologize for any buffering you're experiencing. I have nothing to do with it, of course, but still, I'm sorry it's happening. But that is actually why I used to always make a point of uploading it rather than just using the live stream. When I, had the 5G network, I was hoping to get less buffering, but the last few walks I've noticed it seems to be more common. Oh, there we go. There's our first dog. I knew there'd be a dog. Looks very summery though, very green and blue. The colors of summer. Yes, we won't be quite that hot today. We're going to 32 today and I think 36 tomorrow. The hottest day in the forecast. So no, we're nowhere near Dubai, but I wouldn't expect us to be. Record temperature in Saskatchewan was set in the 1930s, 114 Fahrenheit, which, let me think, something like 43 maybe? 44? I was doing the calculation backwards, that's why that wasn't working. .46, something like that. Record temperature for Saskatchewan would have been around 46, set back in the 1930s. A town called Mydale, down around where I used to live in Weyburn, down the southeast corner. But that's extremely rare, obviously. That is a record. 38 is about as hot as you'll expect it to see sometime during the summer, or just below that. 38 is 100 Fahrenheit. Difference between here and Dubai, one of the differences, is that, here, let's go down here, is that in the winter, we'll go the other way. So it can be plus 40 in the summer and minus 40 in the winter. Oh, there's berries on the bushes. Look at that. The berries. Yeah, so what your temperature there is what the record hot temperature for Saskatchewan was more than 100 years ago, or almost 100 years ago, 90 years ago, I guess. It's always fun to come down here and it's like you're walking through the woods, even though the path is right there. Bicyclists will come down here sometimes. You can see it's kind of beaten down into a path, so people do walk down here. I think people like to bring their dogs down in here too, probably. Dogs probably enjoy it. Creek is right there. Oof. Be a little careful because with the long grass, it's hard to see the slope. Don't want to tumble into the creek. Whew. I went to school in Arkansas, so I can remember temperatures down there in the, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit and almost 100% humidity. I hated it. People will sometimes say, oh, it's so humid, but it's very rarely does it really feel humid here compared to southern U.S. or southern Ontario for that matter. We just don't have any big bodies of water around here to make it humid. Some lovely yellow flowers down by the creek. Also, I would imagine in Dubai, like here, it probably cools off at night because of the arid climate. It should be more arid in Dubai than it is here. So generally the temperature will drop quite pleasantly at night, even on the hottest day. So that makes it easier to take if you don't have air conditioning. Which I didn't in the first house I lived in Regina. For that matter, any of the houses I lived in Weyburn, I don't think I had air conditioning. In the apartment that I was in before I moved up here, I don't remember it being air conditioned. So keep an eye on my legs to make sure I'm not picking up something like a tick. I don't know that there's any down in here, but I don't know that there aren't. Again, the path is right there, so we're not really in the in the wilderness here. My horizon definitely seems to be a little off kilter. So I'm not sure how to fix that. So I think you'll just have to put up with it on this walk. I think I could fix it if I started over from scratch, but I don't want to do that. Oh, but we're going to keep going through the woods. A little further. We'll come out up here. Ah. Yeah, it's particularly annoying with the heat if it doesn't cool off at night. That's when it really starts to wear at you. All right, well, again, we're just paralleling the path, but now we're walking over here toward the horseshoe pitch. There is a horseshoe club, and this is their horseshoe pitch, although I don't think it gets a lot of use anymore. I've never gone to their website to see if they're still active or not. But, and I've only ever once seen anybody playing horseshoes over here. you're not familiar with horseshoes, you toss a horseshoe at the little pylon there sticking up, and the goal is to ring it, get the horseshoe on the pylon. I'm not sure how scoring works. A lot of weeds on the pitch here, so again, I don't know how active this group is, but this is here every year, and it's been fairly recently repainted, it looks like. And there's another dog with owners, or a owner. Now we have to decide how we're going to do this today. I think we'll just cross here and take my sort of normal walk. I do have things to do, so I'll try to extend this in any way. There's the creek over there. We will be crossing it again on the footbridge here in a minute. See, it should be a little straighter, sort of like that, but however I set it up to begin with, I seem to have not quite gotten it right. Fairly busy week. Besides publishing, so there's another dog. I've got an interview for the podcast tomorrow and another one on Wednesday. Tomorrow is Hayden Trenholm, and who I just saw in Winnipeg. And then MJ Kuhn is the author I'll be talking to on Wednesday. Friday morning early, I drive up to Saskatoon. There's a book launch on Friday night at McNally Robinson for a book that I published, not one I wrote, called The School of the Haunted River, which is a interesting book. Colleen Gerwing worked on it a long time. It's semi-autobiographical. She was an outdoors woman, and it's about an epic solo canoe trip across northern Saskatchewan, which she took as part of her education at something called the Outdoor School in Wyoming. And that's what the character does as well in the book. Anyway, she worked on it a long time, but then she had cancer, and she passed it off to D. Hobsbawm Smith to edit, and Dee is now the Poet Laureate of Saskatchewan. So she edited it for publication. And they came to me in my Endless Sky Books imprint, which is self-publishing assistance, but also is a publishing imprint, so it's like a hybrid publisher, so-called. And that's been published now, and the book launch has been set up at McNally Robinson on Friday night. So I'll be there. I don't have to read or anything, but I'll be there just to wave the flag and say, hi, I'm the publisher. Maybe pick up some more business, who knows? I could use some more paying business at the moment, that's for sure. So we cross this footbridge. We'll cross this bridge when we come to it, and now we have. We'll stop again for a look at the creek. Looking east again, more or less. And looking west. Always nice this way with the reflections of the trees. we go. Actually, maybe what I'll do, just to make it a little different, so we'll go down here, we'll go a little further west than I have for a while. So this will shorten this part, but then I'll lengthen the second half of the walk. Not the second half, but the latter part of the first half. We'll go over under the Louvain Bridge, which I haven't been over there for a while, and then back maybe along 13th. So I'm cutting several minutes off by taking this path as opposed to the winding one over there, which will then be added on a little further, so the walk will still be about the same length. Creek again. We have had some rain recently, of the thunderstorm variety. Not a general soaking rain, but some rain nonetheless. Generally it's been pretty dry, but I don't know if there's enough general rain to help the farmers. It's always hard to know what farmers need. If it rains, it's at the wrong time. If it doesn't rain, they need rain. It's very rare you get a perfect growing season, that's for sure. I didn't think I'd run into people down here, but I was wrong. So I would be on that path if I were still following the curves. And it goes way up there and then curves around back to where we're headed down here. Les Sherman Park is the overall name for this. And we're very close to the creek down here. See a lot more people out in the summer on a Monday morning than you do when it's really, really cold. I guess people are off or something because you're seeing people out and about instead of at work. I mean, I know I work from home, so that's why I'm out here. I don't have to worry about being at work, but I think other people would. I know there's another comment there, but I can't see it in the sun. Can't quite see it. I have to wait till I find a shadier place. Building a new house over there. Be able to read it under the bridge, if not before. Maybe here? Let me see. Not yet. My eyes just won't do it. When I get in the shade up here, maybe I can read it. Somewhere along here is the place where you can get right down to the water, and where in the wintertime I walk out on the ice. I think it's right here. Get right down to the water's edge here. And get a view of the Pasqua Street Bridge over there. If I step back in the shade, maybe I can read those additional comments. Yeah, if I can get a good background, maybe. How about right there? What does that say? This woodwalking view in the Philippines as well. I'm not surprised. did see that other comment, so here we go. Okay. We'll go under the bridge if I can. They haven't blocked it off because of the work they're doing. If they blocked it off, that changes everything here. No, I think the path is open. It's just the bridge is blocked off. Yeah, and here's a dog. Oh, there's some purple flowers to go with the yellow ones. So yes, they've been working on the bridge here all summer. That's a new guardrail, I think. I don't know what else they're doing. Anyway, here we are under the bridge. Just got dripped on. Don't know why. All diamond over here, those are apartment buildings over there, and those canoes belong to the school board. They use them for, again, I wish people would let me know they were coming up behind me on a bike. The school board uses them for phys ed classes. In the spring they have canoeing on the creek. Could argue that as a pedestrian I should be walking on the left, I guess, then I'd see them coming, but they still come up behind you, and it's the behind ones that you're worried about. If you don't know they're there and you turn suddenly, you could hit them or they could hit you, which is why bells were invented. So that's the Louvain. Today we're going to go under it, which I haven't done for a while, and walk on the other side, very close to the edge of town. It's been recently repaved. You see how black the pavement looks. It was closed down for a few weeks, or at least down to 2 lanes instead of 4. Oh, I didn't look at the weir as I went by, but I looked at it. I was over this way last time. You can sort of see it back there where that line of light is. It's the weir, part of the level control system. Creek. Yeah, it's been quite a while since I walked under the Louvain Bridge and carried on the other side, so at least this will be fresh, freshish, fresher. All of this is flood control land. That's why it's everything down by the creek pretty much along here is, it's not built up, it's open land, and then there's dikes. Okay, we go under one lane of the Louvain. And then the other 2 lanes over here. As the cars go by overhead. It's a dike over there. There's a par 3 golf course just the other side of that. Sand greens, I think. Very, very barren. It's a very unappealing looking golf course, but that doesn't affect the play. I've hardly ever seen anybody playing on it, but I know it's there. And some flowers. So the creek winds that way. We will rejoin it up here where these trees are. And I'll go around the bend, if I haven't already gone around the bend. We'll go up and over the dike and then go back across the Louvain, and that'll be the turnaround point to head for home. Once we get around the corner here, And then up on the dike, there'll be a bit more view of the, looking out to the prairie to the west. See fewer people over here. Bikes are likely to come by, pedestrians. Those flashing lights up there is the intersection I will be crossing back over at the Louvain at. Happy to have air conditioning in the house when I get home so I can quit sweating a little faster. I can also go sit in front of a fan, that helps. Sweat doesn't bother me when I'm outside and there's a breeze, but when you get back in and there's no breeze and it really takes over, then it's kind of, ugh. I don't want to sit and work on my computer and drip sweat on it. Too much information? I don't think so. Everybody sweats. Or potentially perspires, or if they're really delicate, glows. So the creek now bends back around to come right alongside us here where these trees are, possibly naturally growing these. Generally speaking, every tree in Regina was planted by somebody, but a few along water sources will sometimes spring up naturally. Know about these, if they were planted. They are suspiciously regular in their distribution, so I would say they were probably planted. He's looking warm and glowing. All the reeds over there. Cattails. Once that part comes out, I don't know exactly when the cattail appears. I mean, that's the seed, so later in the summer, I would guess, when they're at the seeding point of the cycle. Here it's just a wall of reeds. I think there may be another comment which I can't read because of the sunshine. Again, I had no idea they were coming because they didn't make a noise. You don't think about it when you're on a bicycle, but when you're a pedestrian, you are very aware of how silently and quickly bicycles can appear out of nowhere. And if you don't know they're there, you could turn unexpectedly, especially when you're doing what I'm doing. I haven't hit one yet, but my imagination is vivid enough to tell me how to do it. It's pretty along here, the curve into the creek and the reeds. We're going to go over this dike up here in a little bit. First we're going to go up on it, and then we will go down the other side of it. See, there's a bell. That's what you need. So he let me know he was coming. Painfully thin, that guy. You can count every vertebrae. I think that's pretty thin. Let's see, can I read? If I stop here for a moment, can I read the note? Maybe. Let's see. I'm going to try to get my eyes focused here. I can't read it. If I step over here, maybe that'll work better. Get a better background. Oh, you're migrating to Saskatchewan. I hope so. It usually is, part of the year anyway. Natalie in Malaysia. Yes, well, the thing to be aware of course, is the winter. We have beautiful summers and springs, no question. And the winters are beautiful too, but they're very cold. We do get lots of sunshine in the winter, so it's not like a gray, dreary, drizzling kind of winter. It's just very white and blue and occasional blizzards, and very, very cold sometimes. But also lots of sunshine. Okay, I'm gonna go down the creek, down the dike here. So first we'll just take a look around. There's the golf course over there. The airport's in that direction. That's a curling club over there. You can't really see the prairie from here because there's a rise of land, but if you go on out that way, there's nothing except prairie. And that's the off-leash dog park on the other side of that fence there. Sometimes I walk down that way, but I've already come this far, so today I'm going to go this way. We'll go down the alley here, maybe I'll go down the street instead. Oh! Okay. Now we've turned the corner and are headed home. Sometimes we get forest fire smoke in the summers. We've had quite a bit this year, as has most people, but at the moment there's a bit in the air. I can sort of tell. Not too bad. It was pretty hazy yesterday driving home from Winnipeg. It's been a bad year for forest fires. Some years are worse than others. Don't know what this street is called, but that's where I am. Coming up to 13th up here, then I'll turn right. We have to cross over the Louvain. Go by a playground up here, I know. It's the time of year when you're likely to see campers parked on the street from people who are traveling. There's the playground. One of the city-owned playgrounds. I'm sure this is city property on this little bit of open land here. Just a little park. A little bit of green space. The city is very good about having green space in neighborhoods, even if it's small. At least there's something. And often there'll be a playground in that green space. This neighborhood probably dates to the 60s, I would guess. I'm looking at the houses, maybe the 50s. Well, there are bigger, newer houses where people have moved in, like the one on the next corner is quite large. What is that on the roof? I guess they're vents. I thought it was a sculpture of some kind. Okay, so there's obviously a newer house. There's the playground. So yeah, obviously that's a pretty new house there, and the one next to it as well. So yeah, if you go out that way, you're quickly outside of the city, and it'll take you to the bypass. This sidewalk was redeveloped since I've been doing these walks, so it's pretty new. The other thing about our weather is that winter is long. It'll typically snow end of October, beginning of November. Sometimes that sticks, sometimes it goes away and comes back, but usually the first snow is around then. And doesn't completely melt until April. And you can get snowstorms. Well, apparently it has snowed every month in Saskatchewan except July, in southern Saskatchewan. I've never seen it snow in August or June. Seen it snow in May and probably in September. We'll across here, we'll walk through that little bit of park over there. I guess I'll do that. Oh, looks like I just made it in time, actually. They don't actually have the crosswalk painted here at the moment. Now, do I go down 13th, or do I go think I'll go down 13th. I haven't walked down 13th recently. I'll go all the way down, straight down 13th to Retallick, where we'll turn right and that will take us home, take me home. So there'll be a bit more traffic. 13th is a fairly busy street. But if you want to see what winter is like, you just go back and look at my winter walks. The one that's pinned to the top of the channel, which you should subscribe to, by the way, if you haven't, anybody watching. It's a beautiful, beautiful walk around Wascana Lake in the winter with hoarfrost and the sun just coming up. That's why I pinned it. It's quite gorgeous. And as I said earlier, I'll be in Saskatoon on Friday, and I'll probably do a walk in Saskatoon on Friday because I've got a whole day to kill. My car's going to be in the shop, and I have to stay over that night for a book launch. So it's a four-way stop. Good for crossing at. 7-Eleven has been here forever. I cannot see the screen at all right now, so if you say anything, I won't see it till later. So I can't answer any questions. If you want to make a comment, I will see it later. Yeah, I can't see a thing on the screen because I'm walking into the sun. And I will be for the length of the time I walk down 13th here. Except for occasional bits of shade. A little further down there'll be a bit more shade, more trees. I haven't walked in this little bit of neighborhood for a while. Do that some other time. So the creek that I was walking along then is right down there, about 3 blocks. But we won't see it again now. Church on this corner, Church of God, I think. Is that right? I was right. King's Corner, Church of God. King's Corner because this is King Street. Never been in there. Walked by it a lot. Church is better with coffee, says the sign, which is probably true. Bit of shade here. If you turn back around, you can actually see the main part of the church. So that's what it looks like. This is really the front of it there. Oh, it looks like there were more comments. Winter gives Christmas vibes, so we almost always have a white Christmas, pretty much always. Yeah, all that stuff. Yes, I know. Summer or the rainy season. We certainly have distinct seasons. As I was saying, the record hot temperature in Saskatchewan is about 46 Celsius. The record cold temperature in Saskatchewan would be down around 50 Celsius, 45 to 50. So you probably wouldn't get those in the same year, but there's certainly variation. Today it's going to 32, tomorrow to 36. 6 months ago, it could have been minus 36 easily. Those kind of temperatures are actually fairly normal spread for the year. Say 35 above to 35 below is kind of a normal year with no extremes. Queen Street. Semi-arid climate, not a lot of rain. Not a lot of snow either, but because of the cold, it sticks. So you do tend to have snow cover for 5 months. Which is why people leave Saskatchewan when they get old and move somewhere where they don't have extreme winters. BC is always popular, not too hot, but a lot nicer than here. Lots of flowers in the spring. A lot of rain though. But I suppose if you're used to a dry climate, maybe you're happy to have some rain. And I read that. Yeah, Alberta has the mountains. We're about a 7.5 to 8 hour drive on the Trans-Canada. Well, 7.5 hours to Calgary, another hour to the mountains. So if you're driving straight to Banff, probably about 8.5 hours driving from here. But then you're in the Rockies, and of course British Columbia, beautiful British Columbia, as their license plates say, has the most spectacular mountain scenery in the whole, probably in the whole continent, except maybe Alaska, where the mountains are even bigger. So yeah, I can get to the mountains, and going the other way, you can get to the other edge of the prairie in a day as well. And then you get into the Canadian Shield, other side of Winnipeg, which is not mountainous, but very rocky, and lots of lakes and trees and rocks. There's a whole song about that, of the arrogant worms. We've got rocks and trees and trees and rocks and 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 water. In Canada, 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 Canada. Yep. That's the entire lyric, basically. Rocks and trees and trees and rocks and rocks and trees and trees and rocks and rocks and trees and trees and rocks and water. Canadian Shield. They have another song called Canada's Really Big, which has our mountains are very pointy, our prairies are not, the rest is kind of bumpy, but man, do we got a lot. We got a lot of land, we got a whole lot of land. So stand up and be proud, shout it out right loud. Yeah, I don't remember the lyrics exactly, but yeah. Because Canada is really big. We're the second largest country on this planet Earth. And if Russia keeps on shrinking, someday we'll be first, as long as we keep Quebec. There's another one. Most people will tell you that France is really large, but you could fit 15 Frances into this land of ours. It'd take a lot of work. It'd take a whole lot of work. It's a funny song. They're all funny. Oh, here's some nice shade. Have I missed anything? Oh, Prince Albert. Yes, well, what I said about Alberta still stands. Prince Albert is up in the boreal forest, the edge of where the forest starts. So north of that, it's all forest, rocks and trees and rakes. Rocks and trees and rocks and water. I've been up to Prince Albert and beyond to La Ronge, which feels like you're very far north, but there's still a third at least of the province above that. Never been further north in Saskatchewan than La Ronge. I've been to Yellowknife, Northwest Territories once. That's the farthest north I've been. Manitoba, I've been up to Thompson, which is 2/3 of the way up the province. Yeah, but most people live in the southern portion of the province, not up in the boreal forest, which is mining and hunting and trapping and all that stuff. Some tourism. This is Connaught School here, which There was an old school, but they built this new one not too long ago. The old school was from 1914 and was not in good shape. So, École cannot, because it's a French. I think it's a French immersion school, or at least has a French immersion program. Over there is the Connaught Library, built in the 30s. I've done programmings in there. Nice little library. Has the date on it, in fact. 1930, it says above the door there. Auntie Maggie's Caribbean Meals. Oh, that's different. Once upon a time, there was a restaurant there called Creek and Cathedral Bistro, which was one of our favorites, but it didn't last. And for a while, it was a takeout chicken place. Now it says it's Caribbean Meals. Airplane going over. We're close, still pretty close to the airport down on this side of Regina. Well, no place is too far from the airport in Regina. You could walk to it from our house in about half an hour. Creek is down that way. This statue is deteriorating over time, I see. Greystone Manor. It's an apartment building. Bus stop. Older houses along here, not really old, but 30s, 40s probably. I might not go all the way to Retallick. I might go down through the by the cathedral here. We'll see. Athol Street, and so this next building here used to be a nunnery. Now it has condos in it. Last time I was in there, it still had a lovely little chapel. Don't know what they use it for. I sang in it, but I don't know how often things like that happen in there. Front of it. Look up, look way up, and you'll see the cross still up there on top. And of course, the cathedral spires are visible. Well, they were a minute ago. They'll be visible again, because we'll be in front of the cathedral next. As I often mention, I've been in that building because way back I went on a date with a girl who lived there. Sometime in the early 90s or late 80s. I'm not sure when that was. So. She's probably not as young as I remember her. I'm probably not as young as she remembers me either. Here is the cathedral. Maybe I'll keep going down this way so we can go by the Westminster United as well. That's the 13th Avenue Coffee House over there. Been there a long time. It's very nice, but I never think to go there to write. It just doesn't suit my writing. And then some of the older houses along here, they're mostly businesses, but those in particular are well kept and lovely. Here we are in front of the cathedral, so we'll take a look up at the spires here once I'm centered. There we go. So this is Holy Rosary Cathedral, which is built in about 1910, I think. And again, I apologize for my horizon being slightly crooked today. I'll try to be more careful when I set up the phone next time. I'm sure it's level if I can. Like, sometimes it seems okay, but sometimes it seems to default to a kind of off-kilter. Penny University bookstore over there is a nice little local bookstore. Urban Hair Design. Next up on this church, at this corner, is Westminster United Church. Oh, but over there is Des Arts, which is ice cream and candy. And here is Westminster United Church. Lovely church to sing in. I've sung in here quite a few times. Oh, another comment. Let's see if I can find a place to read it. I can't, I mean, yes, there are certainly plenty of LGBTQ people. There's Pride Weeks and all that sort of stuff. I can't answer much more than that because obviously it's not my scene. There are plenty of LGBTQ friendly churches, for sure. I don't think you would find it a problem in the larger centers. I can't speak for smaller places, but certainly Regina and Saskatoon. It's, I mean, there's a gay club I walk by all the time down on Albert Street, which has been there forever. And I know where there was and may still be another one. So over here is Gale's Florist. That's the Mercury Cafe. This is our grocery store, Safeway, where we do most of our shopping. And in fact, I'm going to stop here at Safeway rather than walk all the way home because I do have to buy a couple of things. It just occurs to me. So I'll just walk up here a little further. Over there, that's a hair studio. Then you've got Shannon's Pub and Grill. Lakeview Takeaway Gourmet, it's called. Chocolate store next to that. Bakery next to that. Orange, which is Japanese Korean restaurant, and Butcher Boy, where we buy all our meat. But I'm going to go into Safeway here, so as soon as I get in the shade, I'll check for final comments, and then I will be done. I don't have any bags with me, but I guess I can manage. There we go. Yeah, I think I answered those, so that's it for this walk. I'm not quite home, but I'm going to go in and buy a few things. So thanks for walking with me today, and probably see you tomorrow. Bye for now. Oh, and subscribe if you haven't to my channel. Bye for now.